You can have it all, just not all at once. I don't know if this sentence kind of rings a bell to you. I think it's Oprah Winfrey that said that. And I strongly believe she's right. Sometimes I feel very frustrated because there's so many things I want to do in life in order to feel like a fulfilled person one day. But I just feel like when I was at university, I realized I had to make choices. And it was okay to crave doing a lot of things and be interested in doing a lot of things. But I should be aware of the fact that it's probably best to focus just on one thing at a time. And of course, you're welcome to focus on just one thing for your whole lifetime if you're into that. Not really my case, though. um, yeah, I think that the first time I did that mistake was when I was at university. I had the opportunity to make one specialization that was really dear to my heart, which was social entrepreneurship. And on the other hand, at the very same time, I had the opportunity to be part of the biggest, or let's say most important student association, which was a big deal actually in the uni I was in. I couldn't say no. I knew that the specialization was long-term the more important thing to me, but the other opportunity that presented was just so appealing that I just couldn't say no. And I ended up spending 6 months where I was struggling between the two because both were really demanding, and I just had the feeling that I wasn't really good at either, and that I wasn't giving my best, I wasn't being present to my fullest potential, just because I decided to do everything at once instead of just being fine with saying no to one thing or postponing one thing to later, which would be fine as well. Of course, you're never sure whether certain opportunities might present again, but there's definitely one book that would have helped me a lot if I had read it back then. Essentialism by Gregor Macnion, if I'm pronouncing it right. And I think there's one sentence that he mentions that is really relevant in that case. Most people think that in life you've got to say no to bad opportunities in order to say yes to good opportunities and to have the resources, time, and everything to kind of say yes to good opportunities. But that's not right. Unfortunately, especially in today's world, that's not how it works. You actually have to say no to really good opportunities in order to be able to say yes to the greatest opportunities. And I've understood that now. I have the feeling that now I'm more able to just focus on one thing at a time. Of course, I'm not perfect, and I catch myself being involved in more than one thing at a time sometimes, and I'm just trying to bring it back to a level where I figure like, okay, this is one thing, and I'm doing this kind of Groundhog Day where I kind of can become really good at just one thing, one focus. And I heard about this concept of the Groundhog Day from Jim Harmer. He's the author of the book Work Energy, and he talks about this Groundhog Day concept, that he started seeing successes once he was taking something that was showing good results and just keeping at it and repeating, doing this activity, becoming better and better and doing more, improving quantity and quality of this every day. And in his case, it was writing articles and building up niche websites. And I kind of understand this, that if you want to become good at one thing at the moment, Groundhog Day is a great thing, which is what I'm trying to do at the moment. But yeah, so I wanted to mention Groundhog Day because it's this idea of this one thing, and it's also mentioned in the book, The One Thing, literally called The One Thing, which I've read as well, and where the author explains that if you want to progress on a project or become successful at it, you got to block these 4 hours a day just for that. It doesn't matter when exactly. If it's possible, it's better in the morning, as we all know. But 4 hours a day on something and you'll become really good and you'll see the results at some point. And just spreading yourself out too thin, like I used to do. I've done that also in a past business where I was doing 1 month, I created a few apps, and then another month I had a Facebook page and on this and that, and then I tried some online courses, and I was all over the place. I was learning a lot for sure, but I just wasn't diving deep enough in every topic to really get a deeper grasp and understanding of how it could work. And that's the one thing, that's the idea. And it doesn't mean the one thing forever and ever in your life. It just means the one thing until you've learned, until you are going deep enough and you've built something that works. I think a lot of people, especially today with our very short attention span, we just tend to jump from one thing to another. We're not able to keep this calm and quiet and steady, pace and direction unless we see the results after 1 or 2 weeks, which is crazy. No matter what it is, it could be for healthy habits, because you want to change your habits and eat healthier and whatever, but you start doing this and then you don't stick to that one thing because you start and you're 2 weeks into something you wanted to try out when it comes to healthy eating, and all of a sudden you hear about this very cool diet and new type of cooking or these 3 veggies that will solve all your problems. So you quit everything, and 2 weeks in, so you don't really have the time to even see if it produces results, and you dive into the next thing. And that's what we keep doing. We jump from one thing to another. Please stop doing this. Just focus on one thing. Do it first. Oh, I know it, right? You also have this tendency. You buy one course, you do it like maybe 20% of it, 30%. And then you decide that, oh my God, there's this shiny other course and it presents all these benefits. I'm gonna have a sneak peek, and then you start this other course, and it turns out that in the end you don't finish ever any course, and you just keep jumping around and have an unfinished list of course of about 100, if you're anything a little bit like me. I'm trying not to do this anymore. I read this from a blogger, I think Natalie Bacon, that she mentioned she doesn't do this. She just, if she buys something and she goes through a program, she will just stick to it until it's finished, and then she allows herself to move on to the next program. I highly recommend that you do the same, and I'll try to stick to that as well. But that's the thing, that's the one thing. In the book Essentialism, the author gives a great question for you to actually handle this difficulty, about making choices. So the idea is, the question you should ask yourself is, when you are presented with an opportunity, well, it might be great, it might be awesome, it might be a once in a lifetime, but what's the question really is, how much effort would you have put into getting this opportunity if you didn't have the opportunity right now? So let's say we take away this opportunity, would you run after it? Would you put your heart and soul into getting that type of opportunity? If not, maybe you should say no. That's kind of extreme, but that's the idea. It's actually, the author also compares that with the concept of minimalism and your clothes and trying to downsize that. Because if you go through your closet and you find a piece of clothes, it's proven scientifically that you hold on to it much more just because you own it already. So that's why it makes it more difficult to get rid of it and to say no sometimes to opportunities in life, because it's similar. So the question you should ask yourself is, taking the piece of cloth is, how much money would I spend on this? Or would I even buy it if I didn't own it yet? And that's a whole new perspective, isn't it? I'd be really interested about what you think about that, and if this question helps you. If it does, please leave a comment and also subscribe in order to receive my weekly videos about changing habits. I'm really happy to have you around for this video. See you in the next one. The author, Gregor McNeon, in his book essentially, McKeown, oh my god, in the book Essentialism,